What's up YouTube, Race Nation TV here, welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to be talking about some NASCAR. Today's going to be the Busch Clash. We're going to be previewing / pulling some predictions. We're not just talking about the Busch Clash either. We're going to be talking about qualifying, and then we'll get into the Clash on who's eligible, what you're going to be seeing for the first time on Sunday. Then we're going to shift over and take a quick look at some one-off Daytona 500 entries that are unofficial right now. Then a few more things about the Clash, and I'll give my picks in the end. So qualifying, just a quick couple things here. It's going to be very short. Jimmie Johnson is going to win the pole. I think that's the big meme right now. I think that's probably what's going to happen, and as of a lot of people do. But there are some stats to back that up. Chevrolet, last 10 of 11 years. Hendrick is 5 in a row of winning the pole. So, I mean, Jimmie Johnson's really the only car out of that stable, the 48, that hasn't won the pole in a while. So, yeah, I think being his last season, I think they're going to put everything they have into Jimmie, and I think he'll win the pole. The other thing that's going to be intriguing to me is the qualifying speed last year with the old package was 194.3 miles per hour. I think that's going to change substantially. It's not really a bad thing. Some people look at it as a bad thing. Maybe it is, but it's just more of like an interesting kind of thing to me to see what the difference in mile per hour is. All right, so now let's get into the Clash a little bit. Let's talk about who's eligible. There are 20 drivers eligible, and only 18 are competing because Daniel Hemrick doesn't have a ride. He's not competing. And Daniel Suarez, while he's with the Gaunt Brothers racing team, they are electing not to compete. So we have 18 drivers in the field, which, I mean, for a Clash, that's not unusual. But I think the bad thing about this roster is we don't get to see any of the new teams and driver combinations, because usually the Clash, there'll be like normally to me there'll be 3 or 4 of them. They'll probably still put on a good show, but usually I use this race to kind of get acclimated to the new drivers and new cars, but I guess we'll have to wait until the duels. So a couple things of what's new. There's a lot new in NASCAR this year. There's a lot of different teams and drivers switching, and a lot of unpredictable things that happen in the offseason. But overall, for the Clash, there's just some vital crew chief change that we're going to see for the first time. You know, just a few things like that. So obviously, Team Penske, they changed crew chiefs around a lot. Jeremy Mullins, who worked with Brad Keselowski in the Xfinity Series on the 22, he's moving to him in Cup. Paul Wolfe, Keselowski's crew chief for the last couple seasons, for like one of the longest crew chief driver combos, is now changing, and Logano will have Paul Wolfe. And I think Ryan Blaney, one of the big winners out of this scenario here, Todd Gordon goes to the top of Ryan Blaney's pit box, and that's definitely going to be interesting. It's very smart by Team Penske making these moves. Different crew chiefs, especially when you have a long tenure like Paul Wolfe and Brad Keselowski, sometimes it really helps to kind of change things up and mix it. And Austin Dillon gets a new crew chief, and Justin Alexander. Clint Boyer and Eric Almirola, they switched crew chiefs. If I murder these names, tell me. Mike Bergowitz and John Klossmeyer. I think the biggest crew chief change of the offseason, Cole Perrin, Cole Perrin. I've heard that it's actually Cole Perrin. He's with James Small this year. So yeah, we get to see a big chunk of brand new crew chiefs working with drivers for the very first time in the Clash. I think the other thing to preview and what's new is, remember last year we had the old aero package with the small spoiler and the horsepower, but this year we get the first time at the speed weeks with the new large spoiler and the tapered spacers. And we saw last year they raced so well at the super speedways with this new package. Honestly, like I loved it more than the Gen 6 has ever seen for plate racing. And we get to see it for the first time in speed weeks. Hopefully this changes up for the Clash. Last year in the Clash, it was kind of just, you know, ride at the top of the track and wait until the end, until there was ultimately a huge crash before a rain delay. Yeah, I'm hoping this new package kind of spices up the Clash a little. Hopefully guys can take more risk. I mean, it's not a points event. That's what it's meant for, is to just take risks and get a win at Daytona. I'm really hoping. I think the thing that would make it even better would be to put it under the lights again, but obviously that's not going to happen. So that was a preview of the Clash. Now let's get into the Daytona 500 portion of it. Let's talk about some entries early in the week here. So I'm guessing these entries will come out after this video, but it's pretty much all set in stone. You've probably heard time and time the full season entries that changed. I'm not going to go over that. I'm not going to go over that. But we have for Daytona 500 only entries. This is unofficial. A surprise entry from Colleague Racing for the number 16. They're fielding Justin Haley, who is going to defend his win at Daytona from the July race. Reed Sorensen, number 27. This isn't quite official, but it's been talked about a lot, and it's probably going to happen. Reed Sorensen and a Premium Motorsports number 27. Chad Fincham in the MBM number 49. That car changed numbers. It is now the 49. The 54 for Rick Ware Racing is still to be decided. That's probably going to be a one-off 500 entry. But Brendan Gaughan in the number 62, he comes back for all the plate races. It's actually his last season doing that, so final 500 start for Brendan Gaughan probably. Timmy Hill in the other MBM car, the number 66. And then finally, this isn't a Daytona 500 only entry, but I kind of would have wanted to include all the cars without charters. Daniel Suarez doesn't have a charter, so next week, when I'm talking about the duels, I'll probably talk about after or before. I'll do a video of something that have to do with this. But those are the cars. There's 6 cars without a charter going into this race. And there's 43 entries, and I believe 40 make it, so 3 cars aren't going to make it in. Now what to watch with the Clash. I mean, it's Jimmie Johnson's last Clash. Let's just put that out there, because I think everybody is thinking about that. Every race this season is probably going to be like that, just like in 2015 with Jeff Gordon. But Jimmy's last Clash, he won it last year. The Clash is always kind of like a sign of what's going to come next week in the duels, how these cars are going to race, who's fast. I mean, these are probably, everyone who's in the Clash, it's 18 cars, but those 18 cars, out of those guys, I think that's probably, out of that pool is where your Daytona 500 champ's going to come out of, is the guys who start in the Clash this week. So yeah, qualifying doesn't matter except for the front row. So yeah, just a lot to see for the Clash next week. Obviously, I mean, it gets you kind of excited after a long winter without racing, or at least for the NASCAR fans, if you don't watch Rolex 24 or anything like that. My predictions, I think Jimmie Johnson wins the pole. I already said that. And then the Clash winner, I'm just going to go with Denny Hamlin. I think it's an easy pick. Denny's been fast at the plate tracks. The Joe Gibbs cars are really good. So I think that's how the Clash is going to go. If you like this video, like, subscribe for more. Check out my other videos on the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.